Bob Hayward was a police officer working patrol in Salt Lake City, Utah on June 18, 1975. He was sitting in his car in front of his house on a street called Hogan. He had just finished his shift when a beige Volkswagen Beetle passed by him with its headlights off. He felt that something wasn't right. Hayward knew his neighborhood very well, and he knew for sure that the car did not belong to anyone from the area. He decided to make sure and followed the Volkswagen. The car stopped in front of his neighbor's house. The house was mostly empty. The parents weren't home, and only their daughters were inside, one 17 years old and the other 19 years old. Hayward turned on his high beams to read the license plate. The driver panicked and sped off at full speed. Hayward immediately followed him. The suspect ran the first stop sign, then another one. Hayward stayed on him because once he saw him flee, he was certain something was wrong and insisted on continuing the chase. After a short while, he managed to corner him and stop him at an abandoned gas station. A man got out of the Volkswagen with his hands raised. He was wearing jeans, a black hoodie, and sneakers. His hair was dark, long, reaching his shoulders, and he smelled of marijuana. Hayward pointed his gun at him. The man said he was a lost college student. He claimed he had been watching a movie at a drive-in theater and swore he had lost his way. But Hayward had just passed by the drive-in, and the movie the man mentioned wasn't even playing. Hayward knew he was lying, so he decided to search the car. When he did, he found something very strange. The passenger seat was missing. In its place was an open bag containing deeply disturbing items: a ski mask, metal crowbar, ice pick, cardboard box, garbage bags, gloves, women's stockings, rope, and wire. In the trunk, there were handcuffs. Hayward told him, "I'm arresting you tonight for fleeing from the police, and I'll ask the district attorney to charge you with possession of burglary tools." They went to the station, recorded his information, and photographed him. But after all the procedures, there was no direct crime linking him to the tools they found. So they were forced to release him on bail. Hayward was suspicious and convinced that the man had been planning to break into his neighbor's house, where the girls were alone. But what Hayward didn't know at the time was that this man was not ordinary at all. The man he arrested was the most infamous serial killer in American history, Ted Bundy. And arresting him again would not be this easy, because Ted Bundy wasn't a monster who screamed or attacked wildly. Ted Bundy was intelligent, organized, charismatic, and at the same time, he beat his victims to death. He appeared normal to everyone, but inside, he was a serial killer. For those seeing me for the first time, I'm Blurry Motion, and I talk about everything strange and mysterious on planet Earth. And as usual, today, I will tell you the story of Ted Bundy, the most famous serial killer in American history. Everyone get your food and a cup of tea or coffee ready, because today's story is about someone history cannot forget, and after this video, you will never forget him for the rest of your lives. Subscribe to the channel and be part of our journey to 1 million subscribers. You will definitely not regret it. The 1970s and 1980s were the golden age of serial killers in America. Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, Charles Manson, and many others. But one of them was different, Ted Bundy. He was handsome, educated, and very articulate. His name was Theodore Robert Bundy, born on November 24th, 1946. He was intelligent and grew up in a working-class family with an average financial situation. He himself said, "I grew up in a wonderful home with loving and devoted parents. I was one of 5 siblings. We were the center of our parents' lives. We attended church regularly. My parents were Christian. They didn't drink or smoke. There was no gambling, no violence, no shouting between my parents. Our home was respectable, stable, and committed. But not everything was right with Ted. From the age of 3, he began showing strange behavior. Once, when he was young, his aunt woke up to find him standing over her while she slept, having arranged all the kitchen knives around her. When he played in the forest, he would kill mice and cut them apart. When swimming with other children, he would try to drown them. Most importantly, he never showed any remorse for these actions. For a period of his life, he lived with his mother and grandparents. His grandfather was extremely religious, a church deacon, but he was also violent, racist, and beat his wife. He also owned a collection of pornographic and violent materials, which Ted watched. Ted was intelligent and good-looking, but very shy and had no friends. He was bullied at school and sometimes exploded with violent outbursts. Even in his early university years, he was withdrawn and socially isolated. His happiest memory was in 1968 when he bought a beige Volkswagen. That car gave him a sense of freedom and control. Over time, Ted Bundy built a perfect mask. He appeared confident, charming, and attractive. He graduated in psychology, started dating women, and later entered law school, though he wasn't truly interested in law. From adolescence, Ted was a frequent thief. When he turned 18, his criminal record was erased due to Washington state law, which automatically deletes juvenile records unless the crimes are extremely serious. His crimes were considered minor thefts. That legal loophole made America regret this law deeply, because his desire to commit crimes kept growing. At this point, legally, he was a clean man with no past. On February 1st, 1974, Ted broke into a student home and kidnapped her, killing his first confirmed victim, Linda and Healy. All his victims were young, beautiful women. He approached them in public places, pretending his arm was broken or that he needed help. He asked them to carry things to his car. Once they felt safe, because he was handsome and non-threatening, he would strike them on the head, knock them unconscious, put them in his car, take them to a secluded place, rape them, strangle them brutally, and kill them. Sometimes he even mutilated the bodies. Each month, the number of missing girls increased, first in Washington, then beyond. People were terrified. Police were lost. Witnesses gave descriptions. Composite sketches were published in newspapers, but nothing worked. Ted remained far from suspicion. At that time, he even worked with the Seattle Crime Prevention Advisory Commission, writing advice articles for women. He knew exactly how to hide evidence. DNA testing didn't exist yet, and police investigations were weak. Police departments didn't share information across states. On November 8, 1974, Ted made a fatal mistake. An 18-year-old girl, Carol Durange, was driving her maroon 1974 Camaro. She parked under a light at the Sears Mall. A well-dressed man approached her, introduced himself as Officer Roseland from Murray Police, and claimed someone had tried to steal her car. She checked. Nothing was missing. He then said a suspect had been caught and asked her to come to the station to file a report. She smelled alcohol and felt something was wrong, but he showed a badge. He asked her to ride in his car. The car was a beige Volkswagen. She assumed he was an undercover officer. He stopped near an elementary school, grabbed her arm, tried to handcuff her, pulled a gun. She screamed. He didn't secure her fully. She opened the door, jumped out, ran. He chased her and beat her, but a passing car approached. She escaped and went directly to police. She reported Officer Roseland, the beige Volkswagen, and the attempted kidnapping. They searched but didn't find him. 9 months later, Officer Bob Hayward saw the same beige Volkswagen. After Hayward released the suspect, he remembered Carol's report and told his brother Captain Pete Hayward, a homicide investigator. This led to renewed investigation. They also connected it to an earlier report from Seattle, where a woman recognized a sketch and said it resembled her abusive boyfriend who owned a beige Volkswagen, had crutches, strange items at home, and disappeared at night during abductions. The next day, a warrant was issued. Carol Durange identified Ted Bundy instantly in a lineup. In 1976, Bundy was sentenced to 15 years for attempted kidnapping. More investigations followed. He was linked to the murder of Karen Campbell, age 23. In October 1976, he was transferred to Colorado for murder trial. Bundy chose to defend himself. The judge gave him extraordinary freedom, a desk, phone calls, and access to the law library without handcuffs. During a break, Bundy jumped from a second-floor window, ran, crossed the street, climbed a fence, and fled into the mountains. He had planned it for weeks. The alarm was raised 10 minutes later. For days, 150 officers, dogs, helicopters, and the FBI searched. Cold, hunger, and storms weakened him. After 6 days, he stole a car and was recaptured 2 blocks from where he escaped. Returned to prison, he immediately planned another escape. Using a sawed hole in the ceiling, weight loss, and money donations, he escaped again, this time successfully. On January 14, 1978, in Tallahassee, Florida, at 3 a.m., Bundy entered the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University. 4 girls were attacked. 2 were killed. He later abducted and murdered 12-year-old Kimberly Leach. On February 15, 1978, Officer David Lee stopped a Volkswagen with headlights off. Bundy fought back but was finally arrested. His trial began June 25, 1979. He was sentenced to death. Before execution, he confessed to 36 murders, though DNA evidence suggests over 100. His trial was the first nationally televised murder trial in U.S. history. On January 24th, 1989, Ted Bundy was executed by electric chair. Outside the prison, people celebrated. The message: watch your children. Teach them to say no. Teach them strength. Politeness and shyness can end in deadly situations. This was today's story. See you on the next one.
They came down very dim. You could still see. And they were down for about 20 seconds, and then they went back up. And Ted said to me, it's all right, they'll come back on. And I wondered how he knew. Why do you think the lights went out? They were testing the electric chair. And he knew it because he had seen that happen before.